In the intro, you said many people already know me from Real Housewives of Orange County. And in my head, I'm like, nobody knows me because I didn't know myself.
Welcome to recoverHER, the podcast where your healing journey begins. I'm Heather Novak, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Tracy Oppenheim, a compassionate psychiatrist. Today, we embark on a path of recovery and self-discovery. We are dedicated to inspiring each and every one of you to overcome your struggles and live your best, most fulfilling life. Your recovery starts now, and we're here with you every step of the way.
It's only up from here, 'cause there's no one else that's...
Welcome back to our next episode of recoverHER podcast. I'm Heather Novak, here with Dr. Tracy Oppenheim.
Hello.
And we have a special guest virtually here with us today. I want to welcome Miss Braunwyn. Hi, darling.
Hi.
I love your shirt, Joan Jett. Well, you're going to sit there while I read a little intro about you. I know many people already know who you are, but today's guest is someone who's no stranger to transformation, public and deeply personal. That's why I love you. You may know Braunwyn from the Real Housewives of Orange County, but beyond the screen, her journey tells a much richer, much more courageous story. Braunwyn is a mother of 7. Yes, I said 7, an outspoken advocate of sobriety and LGBTQ plus visibility, and a woman who has been bravely rewriting her life in real time. Through divorce, coming out, and confronting childhood wounds, she's peeled back all those layers of performance and expectation to ask herself, who am I when no one else is watching? In this conversation, we explore what it really means to heal, to break generational patterns, and to stand in your truth, Braunwyn. Even when it's messy, even when it's hard, from facing addiction to falling in love again, Braunwyn is redefining freedom, family, and the kind of power that comes from radical self-honesty. Let's drop the labels and lean into the truth. This is Braunwyn, always unfiltered. Welcome to recoverHER.
Thank you so much for that beautiful intro. I'm literally getting teary-eyed because I think sometimes we get caught up in where we're failing in life and where we need to do better. That just hearing those positive affirmations, it was like, oh my God, I'm doing good.
Yes,
I'm
you
doing
are.
a good job. So thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
you
mean
are.
that. And we were talking about, other things on topic as well, similar this morning, and being hard on ourselves. And we are doing a really good job just putting one foot in front of the other, and look at all of the things that you do, and you accomplish so much. And we'll get into some of that. But yeah, you should feel very proud of where you are today.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're liking kicking off the episodes these days with a little game of Would You Rather?
Would you rather? It's a game.
Okay.
So, would you rather go back in time and spend an evening with your little girl self, or would you rather fast forward and take an 80-year-old Braunwyn out to dinner?
Ooh, I would rather go back in time and tell little me that you're gay.
Save you.
Sweetie, the reason your Barbies are making out is because you're gay.
The reason why they're scissoring.
Yeah, right.
There's so many things that I would have told little Braunwyn that would have made things easier. I would have told her that you can have the white picket fence and the happily ever after and be gay. Sure. I would have told her that you don't have to feel so uncomfortable in your skin because you're gay. I think that a lot of the things that I was in my whole youth, even up into my 40s, was based on the fact that I was never comfortable in my own skin. So if I could have taken that away at any point in my life, yes, I definitely would have done that.
That's a good choice. So how does it feel today to be comfortable in your own skin?
Or are you?
It is You know, in the intro, you said many people already know me from Real Housewives of Orange County. And in my head, I'm like, nobody knows me because I didn't know myself. Um, you know, but I think that where I have gotten from where I have come from has been just such an amazing journey. And if you had told me, I'm sorry, I'm going back to your question. If older Braunwyn had told younger Braunwyn, I probably would have missed out on a lot too. So I don't know if I want
Absolutely.
to talk to older Braunwyn because there's so much I want to discover on my own. Um, and that being comfortable in my own skin, that is a new experience for me.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
And it comes through in such powerful ways that I don't even notice it sometimes until I'll be like, wow, I used to look for that external validation from these different sources. And I haven't needed that in so long, from the way I talk to the way I dress to the people that I'm friends with. It's just such a more authentic life that, I mean, it's just, I'm just discovering it all right now. It's hard for me sometimes to finish my sentences because as I'm discovering it, it's popping into my head. I'm like, oh, wait, that's a new idea.
Isn't it a beautiful way to live, though? In recovery, both of us have that in common. But it's like we get to wake up every single day and approach our lives, the unknown that's right in front of us, with almost with childlike wonder. And I see that in your eyes. They're like glistening with all of that recognition. And I'm
If
so
you
proud
had
of you.
told me that I would go back to school at 47, you know, be in esthetician school with girls that are the same age as my children, but that I would be loving it, that I would be happy living out in the country with a small life. If you had told me that everything I was programmed to think I wanted was the exact opposite of what I actually wanted, you know, I wouldn't have believed you. But I get out of bed every day now with purpose. You know, and that day starts at 4 a.m. My days go, I wake up at 4 a.m. and then I go to bed, you know, around 9 p.m. So these are full busy days, but they still excite me.
I love that. So I attend recovery meetings and love to share when asked, and just like with Braunwyn, she says yes. She says yes to everything. So thanks for showing up. You always do, and you show up for yourself. You know, and then
Well, I don't say yes to everything. I say yes to everything that has to do with sobriety and LGBTQ. I will say no to a field trip in a heartbeat.
yeah, duly noted. In response to sobriety, though, by all means. But tell us, so in recovery meetings, for instance, we share our experience, strength, and hope, and we share what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So is there any part of that you want to share with your journey that led you to recovery?
I think what it was like, I mean, I don't need to do a meeting we all know that we can get into the nitty gritty, but what it was like was very sad and very painful. And I filled it up with shopping and parties and things that didn't matter. That's what it was like. It was sad. And you wouldn't have known it on the outside because I seemed so happy. Getting sober was hard. And I never want to minimize to people that getting sober wasn't easy for me. I really, it took me 3 tries over 10 years. And I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I wanted to be anything. I went to the psych ward before I quit drinking because I'd rather be crazy than sober. I mean, that was one of my sober times was I wanted to be crazy, not an alcoholic. But my bottom was, you know, I did drugs for the first time in many years, and I swore I would never do that. I swore I would never touch cocaine again, and I did. And that was my bottom because I'm like, this will kill you, and you have 7 children. And that was sort of the wake up call that I needed. And then getting sober in such a public way, although I don't recommend it, ended up being the saving grace that I needed because I needed that accountability. There were times where, like, because my cast members were all saying that I was faking being an alcoholic. And there were times where I wanted to drink so bad, but I was like, I can't prove them right, you know? So there was that part of me that in the beginning when I didn't, because I wasn't going to meetings for a while. And there was a time where that accountability to such a huge audience was what kept me going. What is it like now? It's just different. And, you know, we talk about the pink cloud, and there's times in early sobriety where you just don't believe it. But then once some time has passed, I have a little over 5 years now, which is not the longest time I've been sober, but it's the longest time that I've admitted that I was an alcoholic, which are two very different things.
Yes.
But it is real. And I don't want to say that it's always amazing. There's definitely hard days. I've navigated some things. I've navigated more in sobriety than I ever had to do when I was drinking. But it's how I'm navigating them and how I'm showing up for people in ways that I couldn't have before. How I'm showing up for my children, how I'm showing up for myself, how I'm showing up for my wife, and how the emotions I have are authentic. I feel grief, you know, like I don't mask grief with drinking. I don't plan a party because I'm feeling sad. When I'm sad, I'm sad. When I'm happy, I'm happy. And there's something so powerful and real that I can't explain it to people that haven't been on a similar path, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You get to feel the entire breadth of the human experience.
It's hard to explain that, but we talk about it a lot. That full range of human emotion that I believe we're meant to feel.
Yeah, I think you and Heather in your stories have a lot of similarities and overlaps. And she talks about what you were just sharing about being able to sit with the feelings. Was there a particular feeling for you that was the most challenging to experience, that kept you running from yourself?
Anger. Yeah, anger. I had a lot of anger at, you know, at different people in my past, at a current relationship I'm navigating in the present. I had a lot of anger, and I was lucky enough to have a partner at the time that said, this isn't okay. I'm not going to sit around and let you be in this. You need to go get help. And so I started EMDR, and that changed my life. Talk therapy was never something that changed how I reacted. It just almost validated why I was crazy, like why I deserved to be crazy. But EMDR really just took those core things I held about myself that erupted in anger and was able to sort of, you go on an arc from a negative 10 to a 0 to a positive 10. That's not an arc, that's a straight line. But anyways,
we got you.
But you kind of do this thing, and that really changed how, you know, let be and let God, accept the things you can't control. Those are things that I would repeat, but I didn't really feel. And it was able for me to take those core concepts and actually be able to feel them and practice them.
Yeah, I think you said that so beautifully, and I experienced that in, you know, with patients that I'm working with, is sometimes when we're just talking, right, we're repeating the same narrative, and it keeps us anchored in those feelings. And so that's why, you know, different therapeutic techniques, you know, EMDR being one of them, really, really help, you know, shift things. You know, it's different than just intellectualizing and talking and saying the same story to ourselves, right?
Right. And sometimes I feel like my story was such a part of me that I never even thought to see if it was real. You know?
Wow, that's big. Exactly. Well, and we create our own realities. I had no, you know, you're talking about anger. I had no idea up until probably 3-4 years ago how unbelievably fucking angry that I had no access to my anger. So, you know, in one of those modalities that we were talking about earlier, I met my anger, and then it was all encompassing, but it had manifested itself physically for me, Braunwyn, not only through alcoholism and drinking would help kind of calm anger being a
Yeah.
superficial emotion. What's underneath all of that is usually fear or sadness. But I didn't have, without sobriety, I just didn't have access to even know that it was anger and then what
Yeah.
it was, where it stemmed from, justifiable or not. But then it allowed me to kind of, deal with that level of anger that I had harbored. And how it was affecting me, though, I started getting migraines daily.
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't deal with things mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, I always tell people that my sobriety is a full-time job, and taking care of my own mental health is definitely a full-time job. It feels like it. And I hold such reverence for other women that walk the path too. So congratulations.
And I think it's okay to admit that we're angry. I think especially with women, we're taught not to be. We're taught to be pleasant and sweet. That anger is almost an emotion that we're taught is bad.
Smile more.
Right. And it's like all the emotions are equal, and don't label any of them bad or good. It's how we react to the emotions that can obviously not be great. But if you're angry, be angry and then take steps after it. Don't feel ashamed of that or try to repress it.
Yeah. But without sobriety, I just didn't have the access to my anger, and I didn't have the access to these full range of human emotions that I feel today either. So, really so grateful for that by all means.
And Braunwyn, where my mind went to when you were talking about getting sober in the public eye, were there ever moments where it felt performative to you, meaning like you felt like you had to portray sobriety in a certain way despite what you were feeling, right? Like, so just like, it's okay to feel fucking angry. It's okay to be like messy, right? And did you have that opportunity, or did you feel like you were
had to keep it all together?
I felt a really big responsibility to show people that being sober was fun.
That's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I get choked up just thinking about that, who she was. To only put a positive spin on things, to only highlight the positive. I never showed you the dark moments when I couldn't get off the floor and I wanted to kill myself. I didn't record those. After the fact, I would kind of allude to, oh, it's been a tough time. But in that fake influencer way, like, look, I'm relatable, but not really. I think I really had a lot of pressure for sobriety to be easy and fun and not the dark, messy, hard parts, because the little bit I did show, I got thrown back at my face by like the fans of the show on the sites. They were brutal, and I would have these raw moments, and then they would get twisted and thrown back, and I was like, I can't be honest to that extent. I can only be positive. And some of that still stays with me today. There's definitely things that I would like to share that I don't always share, because the backlash can be like, it can be almost not worth it at times. And then it affects my own mental health. And so I have to prioritize that. So it is an interesting cycle of trying to be as honest as you can without enacting the hatred that comes with social media.
And I think for the people that, they want someone relatable, right? They want to know that someone's healing is messy, and everyone's healing is messy. Because then they feel like they have permission to be messy. And that's where, you're actually the most lovable.
I found that, like, when we go to a meeting, we'll tell a story, which we find hilarious. But then in the real world, they look at you like you're insane. They're like, wait, what? So I've learned to, like, what I say in meetings and stuff to be a little bit more real. Like, even the other day, I made a joke about my daughter. She was at her friend's house for a couple days, and she's like, do you mind if we get her nails done? I'm like, I don't really care, as long as you keep her off the hard drugs and no beer before noon. That's one of my sober jokes.
Yep.
Her mom didn't get my sense of humor, and I had to call and like backtrack and explain, I'm sorry. But I've learned that, like, the people that are in the program and are sober, I can have a different level of honesty with than people that are like Housewife fans, if that makes sense.
know your audience, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Know your audience.
Yeah. What parts of yourself are you still learning to love today?
Oh God. I think that little girl part of me that still gets her feelings hurt, the EMDR has helped a lot, but there's still that part of me that just wants to be loved the most. I just want to be loved the most. So I'm still working on that, you know?
Mm-hmm. How does that show up? How does she show up sometimes in your day to day?
Sometimes she'll get hurt. Co-parenting, when you're trying to co-parent and they have like another mom on the other side, that has been extremely difficult to navigate the stepmom relationship. I'm not excelling at it. I will admit it's probably the worst version of myself because I want my kids to love me the most, you know, things like that. I think that's probably right now where I'm struggling with it the most.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting you say that, though, because I know how much you love Jen, right?
Yes. But she's more like the stepdad.
True, but you know she's another mother figure, of course, to your kids.
No, she is. They call her the stepmom. I don't have that with her because she's here. She's part of our life. She's an extension of what we're building. Whereas their other stepmom, I've never met. I've never met her. And so it's this sort of weird thing. The whole relationship, there's just a lot of backstory there that wasn't pleasant, like bad. But I don't like her and I don't like the things that she did. So trying to parent with that has been a level of love me the most that has been very difficult.
That makes sense. I understand
Yeah.
that. I understand that.
Yeah, I love that you have that awareness, though.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know?
That doesn't mean I take the high road. Like there's plenty of times where I've gone low only to have to apologize after. Sometimes in the moment I don't have that awareness.
Tell me, in your opinion, what's something that people get wrong about sober women?
That we're boring. I think that's the biggest one. They think that we're boring.
Do people still ask you all the time when you're out and about, like, what can I get you? You know, is it an issue? Do people?
No, it's not, because most of my out is spent in gay bars and gay clubs, and everyone knows that that's where I'm comfortable. They know I don't drink, but people are fine drinking around me. My wife drinks, so in the beginning, for the first couple of years, that wouldn't have been okay. But now I'm fine with it. I actually enjoy when people are drinking because where I start, it takes most normal people 3 drinks to get there. So I'm like, come on, I don't have all night. Can you get fun? Because I need you to get to where I started.
Yeah, because I'm really.
But I think
fun.
that's probably the biggest misconception is that sober women are boring. I think they think that when you're sober, it's because you have a lot of baggage and like you might be a little bit too much for them. Or that you're damaged. You know, there's still that stigma that if you're an alcoholic, you're damaged. So I think those things are the things that podcasts like this and us talking about it, that's breaking those stigmas.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're definitely not damaged.
And you're definitely. I know Heather's not boring.
No, and you're not boring either, Braunwyn. Not in the least.
The queer community has very high rates of addiction. So by the time you get to my age, you're either like no longer living or you're sober. So some of my best friends now who I have the most fun with are queer people that are in their 50s that are now sober. I mean, I think that's just at a certain point, once you click on to have fun sober, which did take me a couple years, you know, that I did have to relearn. You just have so much more fun.
What are some of the activity? What do you like to do in sobriety to have fun?
Traveling is my biggest thing. I love to travel. And I love the fact that I get to travel now without worrying about, like, am I going to stay awake? Am I going to pass out? Am I going to be hungover? Planning an activity and not making it. I love traveling. I love seeing new places. I love experiencing new food. And those are things I didn't really get to do when I was drinking because I was either incoherent or I was a pass out drinker. I was asleep. So I think traveling is the biggest thing I love to do. I love hiking. I love waking up in the morning before everyone else. I wake up 2 hours before the rest of the family and just sitting on my covered sunroom porch, drinking coffee, looking at my phone. Like, I love going on Instagram, I'm not going to lie. When there's no one bugging me, I love mindlessly scrolling in the morning. I love not having to check my phone in the morning and like seeing what damage and chaos I caused. Like, I love not having anxiety. Like, wow, waking up in the morning, not being like, what I do? Who do I have to apologize to?
Right. Where are my clothes at? What did I do?
Yeah.
Who did I offend? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
How do I get
remember
home? Where's my car?
So
Like,
I got sober originally when I turned 26 and then stayed sober until I was 40 and then checked it off the list like running a marathon and drank again from 40 to 44 and just hated the way that I felt and had a whole brain full of sobriety and knowledge from the program. And so it was not easy coming back. And you've said you've been a retread, I think,
yeah.
before too. So congratulations of your 5 years. And this way of living is just simply so much better. It's just easier I'd rather be sober, wondering, there's this whole label that people are so adverse to of not wanting to be an alcoholic. You said yourself, you would have preferred going into a mental hospital or a psych ward and being crazy over being an alcoholic. And that it's astonishing me. I can understand that. And I watch other women and people who I love so dearly will go to such lengths to avoid accountability of just simply
surrendering to
the disease of alcoholism. They just and for whatever, my mother couldn't. She died when she was 52 years old of the disease. So
I'm so sorry.
yeah, and I watched it so intimately. So I'm really grateful to be sitting on this side of sobriety. And then from this vantage point, you can wonder all day long, can I pick up a drink or should I not? It's a hell of a lot easier being sober, wondering if I'm not an alcoholic versus not on the hamster wheel.
Absolutely.
And unable to quit drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to manage your drinking, like, oh, I have a meeting on Monday, so I shouldn't go out on Sunday. If you're having those thoughts, just know you don't have to have them anymore. You can go out on Sunday and make it to your meeting on Monday. Like, that's actually possible. When you're not drinking, you can go out every night of the week.
Well, I remember when I
This
got
is so
sober
good.
this go round, which means so much to me, of course, that I was just pouting about the fact, well, I'm never flying first class again because what's the point? And, going to Italy, we just got back from a wedding in Italy, and it was incredible to be in Tuscany in the wine country sober. I have no interest in going to Napa for the weekend, but flying to Italy, being present, watching these two amazing family members.
Heather would
get
always say,
married.
what's the point of flying first class if I can't even have the champagne?
Or I'm never having brunch again. Where's the champagne? What's the point? What's the point of even living anymore? Oh my God, it's so worth it.
I had those exact same thoughts. What's the point of being alive if I can't drink? I'm like, that's so sad. But that was how I felt.
Life
There's no point in
revolves
living.
so much around it, though. So, we understand where it all stems from. We were talking earlier about this new book that we're excited that's coming out that we're going to go home and I think it's out, right? Glennon's new book with.
I know. I can't. I'm going to download it on my Kindle because I'm so excited to start reading it.
Okay, but you brought up a great point before we started recording about what's next and wanting to talk a little bit about that. When your life changes and you blow it up, I think was your quote.
Well, that was sort of the whole in Glennon Doyle's Untamed is like she blew up her life. And I remember reading this and being like, okay, I can do it. I can, she's giving me the courage to live authentically. So I blew up my whole life. And then about a year ago, as my life couldn't have been more tough, for lack of a better word. I didn't see a way forward. I was, I don't know how to get through this. I remember thinking, Glennon, I need a new book. You have to give me the what's next. And I was lucky enough at the GLAAD Awards to run into her and be like, okay, so I blew up my life. When's the next book coming? Because I have to put it back together now. And she laughed and said in a few weeks. So, but yeah, there is that. and this is, I mean, this is being queer or getting sober. 'Cause a lot of time when you get sober, you are losing a lot of the relationships. For some people, it's a spouse that still drinks or family members. So there is a sense of blowing your life up when you change who everyone perceives you as being. So I think that a lot of women, especially, you know, as you get older, it's like, okay, this is not the life that I'm meant to live. I have to do something dramatic. And then you're left with now what? Now what? You know, I'm at a certain age and I have to start over.
You look
How is that
amazing, by the
possible?
way.
What?
I said, which you do look amazing, by the way, at that certain age.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I do get work done. My dad's best friend's a plastic surgeon.
Yeah. Send me his name.
Awesome. I will do that.
What is next? Now what?
No, I mean, I'm literally taking it one day at a time. You know, I'm in 2 full-time school programs. So short term, I'm an esthetician school. And so I'm going to open up my own little day spa, like just rent one of those suites and start working on clients while I finish school. I was pre-law, but I'm loving this esthetician part in the beauty industry so much that I think I might switch and become an RN so I can do like Botox and inject. Because I didn't really think I would love. This is going to sound horrible, but this is why I was a housewife. I didn't think I was going to like working that much because I'd never had a job before.
So good. I love it.
And I saw people going to work every day. I'm like, that's not for me.
You got there.
We're having our own White Lotus moment right now. Right?
Yeah. I was not meant for an uncomfortable life. But I really just didn't think that working was anything that I would enjoy. From the time I was a little girl, I'm like, no, thank you. I'm loving it. And I'm loving making people feel beautiful and how, you know, for an hour on my table, I get to like love someone and take care of someone and just kind of, you know, make them feel good. And I love that. So it turns out I actually like working. But that's putting my life back together. I have short-term goals and then I have long-term goals. And just kind of taking the next right indicated step towards those. I'm a big believer in the universe. And I've noticed that when I go in the direction I'm supposed to be going, things fall into place. And so I don't plan too much. I just sort of I pay attention to what's coming next, and then I accept it.
You got to be a 7 on the Enneagram. Do you know your Enneagram number?
I did it recently because my wife asked me, and I don't remember what I am.
I put money down on a 7.
On a 7, that could have. What's the name of that one?
I don't remember, but
it's
basically
an awful lot like me, Braunwyn.
Yes, Heather's a 7, living in the moment and
being in the here and now, trusting the universe. Like I know when I'm on the right path and just letting life unfold just as it's supposed to. Yeah, I mean,
it's so true though.
And I do know, and I've experienced it from my own experience that the more that we have a tendency to live in the past, and we can all, look at the beautiful lives that we've shared with the challenges and the traumas and all the things. But if you tend to spend a lot of time in the past, you can suffer from depression. And then if you're looking out into the fear of the unknown future, you have a tendency to suffer from anxiety, or I'm going to bring up anxiety within myself. But when I'm in the moment, staring at you and sitting here with Tracy, everything is perfect. I need nothing. Like we are good. Mm-hmm. But the further out I get from the here and now, I will experience anxiety. And
yeah, same. It drives my wife crazy because she lives in the future and she wants to sometimes she's like, you're driving me. Because I'm always like, it's going to work out. Everything's going to be okay. And it drives her crazy. But I truly believe that. And my life has shown me that is true. I have nothing to debate that hasn't been true up to this point. So why am I going to stop believing it now?
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What in terms of, and by the way, I don't think you need a book to help you know what comes next. I think you're navigating so beautifully and creating so well. I know all those answers are for sure inside of you because you're proof. You're living it. I'm wondering, stepping into your marriage with Jen, what have you had to unlearn from your past to experience health in your current relationship?
That the world doesn't revolve around me. In my previous marriage, it was just, we're going to do what I say. There was no, not in a mean way. It was just like, this is what we're doing. He would say, okay, this is that. And I got really used to that dynamic. And now I've had to learn to like compromise
Oh, wow.
and to sometimes mention, oh, hey, is it okay if I invite the whole kindergarten class over and their parents? Because like once I didn't, because it didn't occur to me to. But just little things like having common courtesy. Because before it was just my life, and my ex-husband was like, you know, the stagehand. And now I'm sort of in this equal partnership, which I'd never experienced. And it definitely was a learning curve of, oh, not everything revolves around me. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's a beautiful lesson. For it reminds me a lot of like healthier relationships involve interdependence and not
Yes.
codependency. And yeah, I can relate a lot to that story you just shared about running the show, running everything,
everything.
and creating this beautiful fucking life for sure. But it is exhausting when you think you're the one in charge all the time. So I'm happy you have a partner today to help navigate
Yes.
some of that space.
No, I love the fact that I don't have to ask to have the trash taken out. It's taken out. Like the little things that had never even occurred to me, that people will just do things around the house without being asked. That's magic. I love just the banter we have. I love living with another woman and being in this relationship. Like I love the smell of the house every day. I don't know, I just love it.
I don't know. That's pretty beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something that the world doesn't know about you that maybe your kids do.
That I like to be in bed by 7:30 at night.
That sounds like a dream to me too.
I think people see these pictures of me out and about and they think that I really love a good murder documentary and I want to be in bed by 7:30. That's my dream night. That's right there. Ice cream in bed, Ben and Jerry's, murder documentary, bed by 7:30.
What flavor?
Yeah. I love all the Ben and Jerry's. Right now there's this American cone that I'm really digging.
It's a what?
American cone.
I think it's like
okay.
Jimmy
All right.
Kimmel American cone. It's a late night talk show host, but I don't remember which one.
I
Not
got
Jimmy
it.
Kimmel.
I think it might be
Funny
Stephen
one?
Colbert.
Is it?
It's a late night talk show host flavor.
We'll have to check it out. And then to be where you are at right now, what part of your past identity did you have to let go? Or I should ask it in another way. Which one did you like have the biggest trouble letting go of? Which one did you hold on the longest to?
Oh, that's easy. That is the celebrity ass part.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So losing that was like getting sober. And I don't think people talk about it very often, that when you've been on this sort of reality show and the whole world centers around you and then you lose it overnight and you're just back to your regular life, how hard that can be. I was very lucky that I had a 12-step program, but I equate fame to drugs. They're very similar. So definitely that has been the hardest part, is navigating going back to like being a normal person. You know, I had to humble myself to go back to esthetician school, to, you know, that there was a part of me that's like, oh, I shouldn't have to do that. I was a real housewife. So I definitely think that humbling and coming down to the right size was definitely the biggest and hardest part of this journey so far.
As you were describing that, I was kind of picturing like the little Braunwyn, the little girl that you mentioned earlier, who wants to be loved the most. And I'm so happy. It sounds like, I bet she was working really hard in that other life to feel love, to be loved the most, when in fact it's really where you sit today where you're able to receive that love?
It took a long, I think, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. For me, it was very hard to accept that someone would love me. Let me try to get rid of these. I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. Oh my God, you're going to kill me. And a child just fell down. Okay.
It's the best. God, I love you. I really do. So I love you. Do you feel that? Because you should.
I do. And that's what I was trying to say is like, I think when you've had childhoods, like in my case, my mom and my dad both left when I was little and I was raised by different family members, allowing someone to love you is so hard. Allowing you to let that guard down and let someone get to that point where they can hurt you. So I think for me with Jen, that's been a whole new thing because I'm letting her love me.
Well, you're very lovable. Thank you. I know there's so much going on in your life, and we so appreciate you taking out time carving out time for us today, Braunwyn.
Oh, thank you. I love meeting you guys. I would love to meet you in real life.
Just going to
Please
say.
come out. We'll come to Phoenix anytime. Do you love living in Franklin?
I do love living in Franklin. It's quiet, it's picturesque, it's easy, and it's just like real, and I love it. And the kids have flourished, and that has been huge.
Do you have family out there? What brought you guys out there?
No, all my family's in California.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And Jen's family
Yeah.
out
Jen's
east?
family's in New York.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Well, we did some college trips out to Tennessee, but we
Yes.
decided to go to Berkeley instead. So
Yes, but
That's probably a better choice given the current political climate.
I don't know. Who knows?
but in real life would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. We'll meet up.
Yeah, but maybe Jen and I will plan a trip out to Phoenix because it's on the way to Palm Springs where my parents live.
That could be great.
Perfect. And ask Jen what number you were
On the Enneagram.
on the Enneagram.
We're
Okay,
I
both-
guarantee,
I will ask
I guarantee
her.
it was a 7, and you'll.
Yeah, be in good company with me.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Thank
Well, I
you.
love you, love you, love you. Talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Me